Hello and welcome to another podcast edition of Taiwan Talk. I'm Keith Menconi, and today we've got yet another on-air live interview from the morning show with Terry Engel. And we're very lucky to invite back onto the program the good folks from ChinesePod. For our listeners that study Chinese or have studied Chinese anytime recently, you probably are already familiar with ChinesePod. But for everybody else, just to catch you up, this is the group that was probably one of the first, if not the very first, to start working on online Chinese language learning, helping folks around the world study Chinese. And they did this mostly through podcast lessons, through, kind of audio lessons on Chinese. They've been doing it for a very long time, still probably one of the best-known companies to do this. And for a long time, they were doing all this work out of Shanghai. But they recently got a new team, and this new team just happens to call Taiwan home. They're actually right in our neck of the woods, within driving distance. So whenever we can, we like to invite them onto the show. They do podcasting, we do radio, a lot of crossover there. And so we're always very excited when they can make the trip over. So now, without further ado, we're going to head back to our conversation with ChinesePod. This is going to be 10 a.m., March 30th on The Morning Show with Terry Engel. And here we go.
Passion Pit kicking off the 10 o'clock hour here. It's 9 minutes past 10, and time for us to get into our Wednesday extended interview that we do around this part midweek. Keith, we have returning guests this week.
We do indeed. And they're going to help us out with a pretty common problem that I think a lot of Chinese learners will have. I think most folks out there will know that really one of the hardest parts of Chinese is the pronunciation. You've got the tones, you've got a whole bunch of sounds that don't show up in a lot of other languages. So, if ni de zhong wen fa yin bu hao, we have the folks for you today. We are very happy to re-invite the folks from ChinesePod to join us on the show. And they're going to be a big help today because they are launching a new series on just this issue, which is called Say It Right, in which they help their users pronounce things correctly. So we're very happy to welcome back to the show Gwilym James and Fiona Tian. Thank you, guys.
Hi, everyone. This is Fiona.
And this is Gwilym. Thank you.
All right. Now, ChinesePod, let's talk a little bit about what you guys do before we get into your new series. We've had you on the program before, so just a refresher for anybody that hasn't been here. This is a podcast. I think this was probably the first podcast that I ever listened to. I mean, this podcast has been around forever. 10, 12 years, it's got to be at least. At least.
We've been going for 10 years now. I think it was one of the first language learning podcasts in this world.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, then that would make sense why it was one of the first podcasts I ever had, way back when. And I've had it since then. And, we've gone through a few host changes and an actual geography change from the mainland to here now. And it's being run here by you guys now.
Yep. So myself, Gwilym, and our colleague Constance, we're heading up the academic team. So we make all of the content here in Taipei.
Wow. Good stuff. And how long have you two been with ChinesePod?
So we've been with ChinesePod for about 2 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And Gwilym, where are you from?
I'm from the southwest of England.
The southwest of England. And Fiona, you are in part Taiwanese.
Yes, so I'm half Taiwanese, half British, half Scottish, actually.
Yeah, we can hear that slight half Scottish part there.
Which kind of leads nicely into the whole pronunciation thing.
Yeah. That's what. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the series that you guys have just released? And I imagine to quite some fanfare because a lot of people who are learning Chinese, this is probably the most difficult part.
Well, yes, I think people feel like it's the most difficult part. So, throughout these 2 years, I've been getting all these questions from all our users about pronunciation. So we thought, hey, why don't we make just one course where we tackle all of the most common problems? So this isn't like your A to Z. We aren't going through every single pronunciation problem, but we're going through the ones that people come across the most and the ones that trip people up the most as well.
Right. Now, the great thing about ChinesePod, at least that I've found in 10 years, and for the most part, is that it's free. And you know what I mean? You can have a podcast, and you've gotten a lot of lessons now. Now, this is a supplement to all of this, right? This new series.
Exactly. So the intention of the course is if you come across a problem, you can dip into this course. We have designed it. I mean, it is good if you watch it from top to bottom, but if you have a particular question, you can just go into it and listen to that particular lesson. And what's amazing is it's all video. So you can really see the teachers, the hosts, the students move their mouths and how they're actually making the sounds.
Right. Okay. What are pronunciation problems? Are those the main questions you're getting from your listeners or your fans or whatnot?
Yes and no. And also I hear it a lot, either in my teaching or amongst my friends. And most often they're really, really embarrassing mistakes. And I just want to be like, no, stop, just shh.
So this is a kind of a goodwill mission. You're saving people.
Exactly. Definitely a goodwill mission on my part. But with the teachers involved in the series, they just want to kind of stamp out these easily fixed mistakes.
Right. If we move away from that a little bit, what's the feedback you get the most? What are the questions you get the most? People saying, hey, how do you say this? Or, hey, I really want to do this. How do I go about saying that? What would you say is the most sort of common topic or question?
I would say the most common ones are like asking about synonyms, so words that are pretty similar in the dictionary, but like different usages. So whether you use it as a verb or a noun.
Oh. So again, sort of pronunciation, though, right?
Yeah,
so still sort of related.
Well, more like what's the difference between these two words, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When I was teaching English, there was a guy in my class. Every day he'd give me like 10 of those. Like, what's the difference between jump and hop? I don't know, dude. Just watch a movie or something. You'll get it.
And the most common one is like, how do I say this in Chinese? They want a direct translation from English. So like, how do I say what's the weather like in Chinese?
Are they actually concerned about the weather, or is the question more like, how do I ask this girl out on a date?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, how do you greet someone?
Yeah. How do I greet my colleague? Okay. That's kind of what I thought.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my personal missions is to get students in starting to ask better questions. So not what is the difference between jump and hop, or, when would I use jump? When would I use hop? And I guess at ChinesePod, we have the unique opportunity, right? A teacher doesn't have time to go through with one student the intricate differences between two terms. But we do. We're a video format, we're a self-learning website, so you can come on any time and find the most obscure of questions or the weirdest topics.
What's the weirdest topic you guys tackle, or that you think you tackle, or that you think is weird? May not be weird to us weirdos, but
once we had a user that was having some trouble. She was living in Beijing with her daughter, and she needed to see the podiatrist. And I didn't even know the English term. I was like, a foot doctor, a podiatrist.
They actually pulled us up because it's actually a podorthist.
Yes.
Who fixes the shoes and makes sure you are standing correctly.
Oh, so they want English today.
They want, yeah. This is the English pod for the most. What's a shoe doctor? What?
The podiatrist is the doctor, and a podorthist is the person that kind of fixes up the equipment for you.
That is a sweet gig, being a podiatrist, then. You don't even need to worry. That's like half your job that you can outsource right there.
Podorthist sounds pretty sweet as well.
But you have to look at feet all day. So
every job has its occupational hazards, I suppose.
Actually, speaking of crazy topics that you guys have gotten into, recently you guys just did one on venereal disease, sexual diseases, and the lingo you would need to deal with that in a foreign country.
You mean that one didn't come to mind first when I asked you about weird ones?
And I just know that because I was looking through all of their lessons. It came up in the stream.
The next question is, Keith, what do you do? What?
Why does he know about this?
This is a common thing that guys and girls should know.
No, you're right. Public safety, you're right.
And maybe just because it's such a okay topic for me, it just didn't come to mind. But this one, we've actually had a lot of anonymous requests.
I bet.
But yeah, it's good language. You need it when you go to the doctor. So yeah, I guess it didn't
well,
come to mind.
it's a good point. Just to get serious on, I'd rather be goofy about it, but get serious about it. There's a lot of not just this, but probably a lot of maybe embarrassing health situations or embarrassing situations that people are probably afraid to ask how to say it in Chinese or how to approach it in Chinese, and it could cause a problem in the future. You know what I mean? You're too afraid to ask for. I don't want. I don't know what I can or can't say. You're afraid to ask for a condom in Chinese, so you don't, and that's not the way that we should approach that. We should not be afraid to learn the Chinese that we need.
If you don't know the word for foot fungus, that foot fungus is just going to keep growing. You won't know how to.
Okay, thank you. That's a better idea.
Cream.
There you go.
Saving you, buddy.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
It's called Hong Kong foot in Chinese.
I guess that's where I see, again, so this is why I really believe in ChinesePod. We're the teachers that teach you the things you're too afraid to ask your spouse, your partner, your teacher. It's okay. We've got it all. We've got lessons on sexual health. We've got lessons on condoms. Trust me, we've got lessons on everything.
On everything. Well, that's good news then.
And asking about STIs, STDs is not something you want to ask your girlfriend if you've cheated on them, or your teacher.
Yeah, especially in certain situations. You may not want to ask. But okay, guys. Well, here's what we're going to do. We brought up the idea of your Say It Right series and coming up, and we're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about why pronunciation is important and whatnot, without going into the lessons that are contained there within Say It Right, because we'll save that for people to go and check there. We'll kind of maybe talk about some of the situations amongst ourselves where pronunciation really was the difference.
This is going to be one of those those infomercials where it's like, has this ever happened to you?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, man, I need that thing because it solves that problem. We're going to give you the problems right now.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get into that.
Our own life experience.
Some life experience where pronunciation made the difference. We'll do that in just a few moments. We'll take a break here. We are here with Fiona and Gwilym from ChinesePod. It is the morning show with Terry. It's your extended interview for the week here on Wednesday morning. Back in a flash.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, friends.
Good morning, everybody.
Let's return to the morning show with Terry on ICRT.
Wake up and smell the coffee.
We return here to the morning show. It's our extended interview here this week.
Right, and getting right back to it, the theme today is pronunciation in Zhongwen. And the reason that we're bringing that up is because the newest series from ChinesePod, the online purveyors of podcasted Chinese learning content, is their Say It Right series, in which they're going over all of the commonly heard mistakes that make us Uyghur Ren unintelligible and make goofs of ourselves, more or less. So getting into the second half, we are going to be going over some of our personal experiences in the realm of mispronunciations. But to start it off, I was hoping you guys could maybe go over just a little bit. What are some of the common things that you hear? And I guess an easy way to get into that is, what are the topics you're taking on in this series?
So first of all is tones, right? So all four tones, nailing them correctly is really, really important. But tones don't exist by themselves, right? They usually get paired up with other words. So tone pairs are also really important. And I think those things are kind of what slightly grates on native speakers.
Right.
You're kind of really emphasizing each tone, and every word, every sentence you say is up, down, up, down, up, down.
The whole ma is really misleading in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
Well, this was the interesting part about learning Chinese for me anyway, is that through the first 2 years of learning Chinese, I was told, 4 individual tones, and was continually thinking about that. And I ended up, your Chinese ends up tripping over itself because you're constantly worried about, those single tones. But it wasn't until probably 2 years in where I realized exactly what you just said, that it's more about tone pairing and tone coupling that really, makes the difference more than anything else. And once I kind of realized that, you know what I mean, that it wasn't these individual tones, my Chinese became a lot less static, a little more fluid of sorts, and it made a lot more sense to me. And then I started hearing the difference between ma, this sort of thing. So we started hearing the difference between when it was paired like that. So you raise a very interesting point.
And apart from tones, there's also some tricky sounds. Like a classic one I always hear is 我的女朋友. And the oohs, so how you curl up your mouth, different sounds like that as well.
Yeah, right. The actual
I do this all the time. Like if I say green, I kind of say lu rather than
lu.
That's a hard one to remember.
Road instead of or of such. Right. Are there some common mistakes, like common words that are kind of misrepresented at times?
I think the most common one, the one that comes to mind, is actually the tone change rules when it comes to 一 and 不. because we learn 不 and we learn a fourth tone. So you're always going 不不不不不不不, you're booing around the place. But actually when it gets paired with different things, so for example, 不对, it's not correct, right? But often you'll hear learners go 不对不对不对.
Yeah,
like,
right.
What are you?
Changes
sorry,
to a second tone-ish type of a sound.
And I always learnt the fourth tone as an angry, straight from like high to low sound, but it's more of a kind of arcing downwards. So it's like a boo, boo.
Right.
So it's more gentle.
Right. I would suggest, and this is something we talked about just before we came on air here, that probably the best example of that and what we're talking about is the very common, and I can't tell you how many times Taiwanese people kind of say this to me, is the difference between 水饺 and 水饺. People, always pointing that one out as probably the most common one. Is this?
I would say so. It definitely comes up most. So so that's a good example. So 睡觉, both fourth tones, right? So I'm not going 睡觉 and then 水饺.
Right.
水饺. Now, if you're listening carefully, I think you can hear the pitch changing, but it is when you're rushed, you're hungry, you want some dumplings, you end up asking someone to sleep with you.
Yeah, so just to clarify, the 2 third tones is dumplings, water dumplings, and 2 fourth tones is to sleep.
Yeah, I told you guys a story that I can't tell here concerning yi kou jiao, and that I get at my breakfast shop every day. That
Put it together, folks.
Yeah. I was mispronouncing one day, and I'll never forget the pronunciation of yi kou jiao anymore. That's for sure. But that leads to a whole other situation. I am quite certain that you guys, and especially you, Gwilym, maybe more so than Fiona, as Chinese learners, we all have fallen into these situations where we have, mispronounced just one word, and it changes the meaning of the sentence. It changes the reaction people have given you. Gwilym, certainly, like I said, more so than Fiona, you've run into this.
Yeah, well, a common one is like if you want to ask your teacher a question, you can mess it up and say, I want to kiss you. So just by saying one and, what is it, one?
One, right.
I usually just go for all 4 tones if I'm not sure, just to cover all bases.
Yeah, if I'm not sure, I just kind of say it really fast. kind of get through it. I've run into a number of situations. And before I talk about some of those situations, one interesting way to kind of, make yourself known is I don't know if we call it maybe a sentence, a pattern used in Chinese where you use a character to describe the character you're using. You want to say, 快巧, 很快的快, or you use a character to explain what you're using. And I don't know if this is something you get into in your series, but I'm often asked, when I'm asked my name, what's your Chinese name? And I'll say, Yan Tai Rei. And they'll kind of look at you because I know they don't, they're looking at me for what character it is for yen, because there could be a couple. There's a yen for the color gray. There's yen for smoke, and yen for the one that my name is. So here's me trying to be funny one day. I'm getting asked. I was filling in my thing for insurance. I was going on a flight and taking insurance. And she says, what's your Chinese name? And I said, Yan Tai Rei. And she kind of looks at me, expecting me this. So I said, Yan Ge de Yan. She's like, and I said, okay, Bian Tai de Tai. And she just stone-faced me, like she just didn't even think it was funny at all. She just looks at me like that. I went, okay, sorry, Tai Guo de Tai. So just, I didn't get any reaction whatsoever. So it was a lot funnier in my mind.
She was probably scared of you, man. You don't want to talk to a Bian Tai guy, especially not if he's proud of it.
I just assumed that would be funny in Chinese, but it wasn't. Like I just got stone faced. There was no reaction whatsoever.
Yeah, so that's pervert, right? So
yes.
It's the P from pervert. That's what you're saying.
Surely, Keith, you've had a situation or two where you've run into pronunciation problems.
Actually, I have this isn't exactly a pronunciation problem, but very quickly I ran into a similar situation where I thought I was being funny and it really backfired. So my Chinese name is Meng Jisi. So it's like Mengzi de Meng. It's got the little kid and it's sitting on top of a box. And I noticed that at the front of all the Richao places, like the places where you sit down at a round table and have some beers and stuff, it starts with Shengbeng. like really fresh.
很猛.
很猛, yeah, like fresh, vibrant, vital.
Yeah, very like masculine and powerful.
Exactly.
And...
Well, that's the pronunciation my friends told me, and so I thought it would be funny if I was teaching English at the time if I wrote on the board 生猛即死. And they laughed so hard. I've never seen a group of people laugh that hard before in my entire life. I still don't quite get it. Do you not 100%. I kind of get it.
Well, so if you say 这个男人很猛, it means this guy's quite
virile?
Yeah.
That's where it's good. Yeah. So that's what I wrote on the board to all of my students.
That you were quite virile.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's not really the pronunciation one that I wanted to get into. That's just piggybacking off of what you just said.
Yeah.
Probably the best pronunciation mishap I've had. It was on a date, and I was talking to this girl who's from the UK, but also of Taiwanese descent, so her first language is Chinese. And I don't know how we got into this, but I guess somehow we were talking about like what you could use your Chinese for, and somehow I said something along the lines of, 中文够好的话，你就可以当一个翻译. And she laughed really hard. And I was like, looked at her and was like, fan yi, like a translator. And she's like, oh, I thought you said fanny. Like you can become a fanny. And she thought it was so funny that she got up and she brought other people in the bar over. And she's like, tell them what you just said. Tell them what you just said.
Now, are the other people in the bar going to know what that sort of means in English?
It didn't matter. She explained it. She explained it.
Just to be clear, a fanny means your bottom, by the way, in Canada.
In the UK, it actually means your front bottom.
Yeah,
In the context of this conversation.
The context of this conversation, that means your bottom, on your behind. That's my mom would always tell me to get off my fanny and clean the house.
So that's what you can become if you study enough Chinese, is a fanny.
It's actually a good memory tip, though, if you want to know how to say translator. Just
there
think
you
of
guys.
a bottom.
It's burnt in your memory now. You'll never forget how to say 翻译.
Well, this is, if nothing else, the takeaway from some of these embarrassing situations is that you'll never forget.
Never get it wrong.
You'll never get them wrong. And if I can share, one more story of a friend of mine, and she doesn't live in Taiwan anymore, so I'm not embarrassing her by telling the story. But going to the store, and we're it wasn't a 7-Eleven, it was sort of like a Xiaobei, and she goes up to pay for all the things that she had put on the counter, and she says in Chinese, because her Chinese was okay. She says, "Oh no, 我忘了我的包皮." And she meant to say 皮包 is what she meant to say, but simply getting the words backwards as well can really, really change what is meant.
I don't know too many dirty words in Chinese. What does that mean?
Well, it's not a dirty word. It's just a clinical word. Why don't we say for meaning part of the phallic part of your phallusness, I suppose.
A part of that whole business.
Yeah, no, that's right. And just by simply
and she forgot it.
And yeah, no, exactly.
An innocent mistake.
No, it's a very innocent mistake. But the thing is just even getting the words backwards sometimes can cause, pronunciation problems.
I must say, luckily, most native speakers will just laugh it off. I don't think anyone knows. I thought I was asked how much period, how much menstruation. I was like, sorry, why are you asking me about my menstruation? I don't think we're that close. And he's just trying to practice how to say 你的月薪 How much is your monthly salary? I mean, my friend is just practicing his Chinese with me, and I'm like, excuse me? You cannot ask me about my 月经, your menstruation.
Right, so it's just these little pronunciation things can be a big difference.
But the key thing is, don't let these little mistakes prevent you from speaking Chinese, because these little stories are the best thing about learning Chinese.
Yeah,
so don't be like, oh, I better not speak because I might mess up.
Well, like anything else, these kind of burn it into your mind what the correct one is. You know what another really common one is? A very common one that I've heard, I think, almost every one of my friends make coming to Taiwan for the first time is trying to say 谢谢. Because there is a pronunciation sort of quirk to it, much like you were talking about 女朋友, 谢谢, but where they'll actually go and say 谢谢, you know what I mean? Which is, not the right thing to say either. You know, you don't really want to talk about, you know, needing to pee or anything like this, you know, xixi, you know, or something like this. But do you get lots of these types of questions? Are these the things that you address in your pronunciation series?
For sure. I think, for example, with that example of 谢谢 versus 谢谢, we talk a lot about endings. So how to distinguish between the yues, yis, yes, all those different sounds that don't come naturally to, let's say, an English speaker, but is very, very, very important in your Mandarin learning career.
As we've been pointing out here, of course. Yeah, no, they're very important. And how do you kind of go about them and maybe this even goes through the entirety of ChinesePod, maybe not even just this series specifically, but how do you guys approach helping people like me and Keith and Gwilym not make these simple errors? What is the kind of formula that you're going to use to help people?
Well, luckily, part of the reason why we made these videos is rather than have to write a big essay about how to say it correctly, we just send them a link to that video. They're all very specific. So if you've got problems with your fourth tones, we'll send you that video. So, yeah.
And I think we also lean heavily on the experiences of Constance Fang, our colleague, and Professor Xu, who's on the course. So he's actually doing his PhD on teaching Mandarin pronunciation to elementary students. So we are very, very lucky to get someone with their expertise in this particular field. So
and in this case, Keith and I have elementary school level maturity. So that probably works perfectly for us.
Plus, like, they've taught thousands of students, and they're all from different nations. Like, we're talking about Americans in English, but French people will have problems. Japanese people can't say Japan, which is a kind of a sad...
日本.
Right.
It's a little unfair, yeah.
It's difficult.
Is it all a matter? Because when I started trying to teach myself pronunciation, I just spent a lot of time just listening and repeating, and that's all I did. Is I'd listen to the sound and then I'd try to match it as well as I could. I mean, is that the best you can do, or is there a better way to approach it?
Just be careful, because because you won't be able to hear your problems, number one. And if you just keep saying it, you're going to develop a bad habit and keep building on that neural connection of saying it wrong. So maybe just say it a few times, check it with your friend or teacher, and then do that.
So you really do need that outside input.
Yeah, in the initial stages, make sure you're saying it right, and then maybe record yourself and play it back. Don't just work on like what you hear.
There you go. Bingo. That's a big one, I find. Language learning especially, and speaking English. And this program, listen to yourself, because you're right. You have no idea the mistakes you're making, because in your head, it all sounds like you're asking for your wallet. You know what I mean? It all sounds good in your head, but until you actually kind of hear it back, being played back to you. And I can tell you from working in radio, I'm sure Keith would corroborate what I'm saying, that until you actually hear yourself talking back, on via tape or a recorded thing, you have no idea what you sound like, or the mistakes you're making, or the flow of how you're saying it, or the pronunciation, or any of this. So that's probably some of the best advice you can give as far as language learning.
I think most people hate their kind of radio recorded voice, especially me, because I'm listening to, most of it's like bone conduction, so it's actually you're hearing your skull talking. Right. So yeah, definitely record yourself, easy with your cell phone, just record yourself and try and improve on that.
I think also with the Say It Right series, we address that exact question. So I think children are much more aware of different tones, different sounds, different pitches. But as we grow, as adults, it's very important to do things correctly now, to make sure your mouth is in the right place before you make the sound, to make sure that you're putting your tongue in the correct place. So that's what we try to do across the
I always try and do that, yeah. But
in many contexts.
You're exactly right. As adults, we actually learn to unlearn is one of the big problems. Okay, let's leave that right there. We're going to take ourselves a break, and when we come back, we're going to have a rematch of something we did last time, where we're going to pit you guys against me in a contest of Chinese language ability.
That's overselling it a little bit.
No. As per movie titles and transliterating movie titles.
Sifting through my pronunciation is what it really is.
Fanning around.
That's right. Back in a flash here. This is the morning show with Terry on ICRT.
Are we gonna go?
Go.
Time to go with the flow and get back to the show on FM 100.
So let's turn it up a notch.
ICRT.
We do return to the morning show here with Terry, and we've got the good folks from ChinesePod in with us, Willem and Fiona. And last time, we put you guys up against me in something we do around here, and it was a little unfair in the sense that
You're a DJ, and it was a quiz about songs.
Music. Yeah. So it was a little unfair. So we're going to even the playing level here a little bit, or even the playing field, and we're going to do 这是什么电影? And it's going to be the same concept where Keith is going to basically transliterate these movie titles. So remember that this is not going to be the actual Chinese name for whatever movie it is, which is another interesting topic altogether, how they even get some of those translations. But that's another topic. But actually taking the English movie title and directly translating it into Chinese. Mm-hmm. And so he's going to do that. And then you guys versus me, we're going to have to try and guess what movie Keith is trying to say. And I have a feeling I'm going to get just creamed in this. But
we will see.
My knowledge of movies isn't great. But
you guys have full license to be very smug at the end of this because Terry will not hold back at all.
That's right. So that's what we're doing. Today we call it 这是什么电影, and Keith is at the helm for this.
All right, so I've chosen these movies from IMDb's list of top 200 movies. Ooh. So hopefully none of these will be too obscure.
Okay.
And these are my best translations of these movie titles.
Okay. Here we go. And we just buzz to go in first.
Yeah,
so.
check your buzzer. Does it work?
Beep, beep.
There we go.
Okay, perfect. And
one of them's beeping, but that's all right.
Mine buzz. Okay, it works. So you buzz first, and then you go in with the title.
All right, and I'll give bonus points if you can get the year of the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
So think about that too.
Okay.
All right, first one up. 一定会有血.
There will be buzz.
Oh, gosh, that's so stressful. Okay, Terry, I think you were first.
There Will Be Blood. That's with Daniel Day-Lewis. I'm going to say 2012.
No, way earlier than that.
Really?
Yeah, you guys want to try?
2011.
No, even earlier.
Way earlier.
At least 5 months earlier.
Yeah.
2007, actually.
Okay, all right. Well, that's not way earlier. That's
a bit earlier.
Few years earlier. Okay.
Okay, in the grand scheme of things. All right, let's try this next one. 主色的时钟. 橘色的时钟.
Buzz. Clockwork Orange.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
A Clockwork Orange. You have a guess as to when that was?
That's Stanley Kubrick's seminal work of 1979.
Pretty close. Not too bad. 1971.
Okay.
1971.
Well, I was closer with the Daniel Day-Lewis one.
2007 was like 5 minutes ago, man. Okay? They're going all the way. They're tapping back to the 1970s. All right. Let's go. Okay, this is just going to be one word. I want to see if you guys can get it. I'll give you a couple hints if you can't get it right off the bat. But just one word. 抢. 抢. Or perhaps you could also translate it as 抢夺.
Translate it for you.
Buzz. Snatch.
Yes!
Oh, nice.
Snatch.
I never would have got that.
Do you know the movie, or were you just translating it?
Guy Ritchie's 2001.
Yeah, 2000. Pretty close.
Oh,
though.
nice
Pretty
one.
close,
See, I
though.
wouldn't have got that. That was a good one. That's
They
really good.
Snatched it. Yep.
Okay.
Not bad.
2-1, I believe. I'm down. Okay.
That's the Chinese skills coming out,
Yeah, no, that's
independent
right.
of the movie watching skills.
That's right.
Which one of you is the bigger movie watcher?
Me,
Definitely Gwilym.
I will use IMDb during the movie to get lots of little trivia.
Right.
There we go. Okay, so
Good with dates there.
very even playing field we got here. And by the way, if there's a pronunciation issue that you guys can correct, I'll give bonus points for that too. I can learn from this. Okay, up next. Oh gosh. 全部金属外套. 全部金属外套.
Buzz. The full golden
Full Metal Jacket.
Yes!
Oh, nice.
Full
I
Metal
was
Jacket.
going to say all gold jackets. And then I was like, oh, what is it? Surely I would know that. But nice one. Well done. Very well done.
Stanley Kubrick as well?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
I just
very
watched
well
it
done.
recently, which is why I thought of it. You got you're looking at my paper.
Sorry,
You're looking
I didn't see it. I literally have no idea, but I'm going to say 1980. 1987.
Yes!
Wow, 1987. Oh, jeez. Now I'm losing
green,
a
buddy. You
bonus.
got to get back in the game, man.
Bonus points here. Okay, all right. Here we go. I got to buckle down.
Just to clue everybody into the score, we are Chinese Pod team is riding high at 4 to Terry's measly 1.
Okay.
He's just laying them up for me, and I'm slam dunking them because I don't get the Chinese.
That's what we call teamwork. That's what we call teamwork.
Here we go.
All right, up next, I'm not sure how this one is going to go. 死掉的游泳池.
Buzz.
Terry.
Deadpool.
Deadpool is correct.
And that is from this year, isn't it?
2016, yeah, that's correct. Uh-oh.
2 points!
You don't want to get Terry angry.
That's
there
right.
we go.
That was such a good translation.
Yeah, some of these are going to be very over-direct. All right, let's try another overly direct one, if we shall. 天神父亲. 天神.
Oh, but
Okay.
Godfather?
Godfather
Oh,
is
nice,
correct.
yeah.
And this is the first Godfather. Do you guys know when the first Godfather came out?
Francis Ford Coppola, 1979.
72 once again. 72 once again. I bet Terry's a little relieved about that.
Yeah.
Score now is 5 Chinese Pod to Terry's 3.
Okay, all right.
Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. What's a hard one? I want to give you guys a harder one. You guys have been getting this too fast.
They're all pretty difficult.
Okay, this is what I got from a Google Translate. We'll see how well
nice.
Google Translate does.
I like this one.
水库狗. 水库狗. Buzz.
Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs. Reservoir Dogs is correct.
Hilarious.
And you love that movie, Terry.
Yeah,
You
no,
should have
I
gotten
do.
it.
But I was thinking,
Like
because
water
you said
pants?
Google. You know, yeah, I was thinking because you prefaced that with Google, I was thinking like bathing suit. You know, because I was thinking, oh, okay, it must be as opposed to Yoku, you must be thinking bathing suit. So that's where I was going with that. Reservoir Dogs, though, nice.
Reservoir Dogs.
Very nice.
Quentin Tarantino, that is year 1982.
No, 1992 for sure.
1992 is
Yeah.
correct.
Wow.
My dates are really off.
Exactly.
You've been going too late, now you've overcompensated going too early.
I'm focusing on directors now.
All right, let's try this one out. Okay, this one's going to be... I'm not sure if you guys will get this one. 公民... let's try that again. 公民拐棍. 公民拐棍. This is a 2-word title. I'll give you that much.
If he translated directly, what's that? What's he saying?
What's he saying?
Public.
Something.
公民.
Something citizen arrest.
Citizen Kane?
Yes, Citizen Kane.
Oh.
This is Citizen Kane.
Is that how you'd translate Kane?
Citizen
拐棍.
Glenn Kane. I don't even know what it means in English. I thought it was
棍子, or
somebody's
maybe
name.
棍子.
I just
Oh, but it's somebody's name though. Citizen Kane. It's not Kane like
Transliterate,
walking.
buddy.
Yeah, okay.
Transliterate.
I know.
Don't try to weasel out of the rules now.
I know.
Do you know what year that one is?
Black and white.
Yeah, okay. All right. Before color, that's 1 year. And 1941 is the year.
It's gotta be way back
1941
then.
is the year. All right. Now we're getting into the thick of things, so we've only got 2 more, but this
Okay.
is our lightning round.
Luckily, it's the lightning round.
Which means double the points, double the fun. I think I've already done all the hard ones. Can I find any more? Okay. All right, you guys will get this one. Somebody's going to get this one really fast. 好坏
Buzz. Yeah, I heard Willem
Good,
first.
bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew that's where you were
I
going
couldn't
with
even
that.
read my own translation. Dang it, I messed it up, but you guys still got it. You got the year?
No.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Spaghetti Western movie.
Give me the decade. Do you got the decade?
For 50s.
Now,
66.
I was gonna say 70. Yeah,
66.
Okay, all right, here we go.
Both falling down short on that one. All right, I gotta end it on a nice, long, difficult one.
Okay.
This is a terrible translation.
Okay,
This is a
good.
really bad one. 永远有的阳光在轻轻的头脑上。永远有的，就是这个阳光是永远有的。
Forever Sunshine Head.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah.
Yes, that is correct.
I
Wow,
said it's-
having a partner, it turns out to be a big deal.
Turns
on
out
this
to
one.
help on the yeah. No, I got you. Well done, guys. You made me eat some crow on the movies.
Are you
there.
please going to play them the Mexican hat dance? You never play
Of
it
course
when
I will.
other people
Of course
win.
I do. When other people win, that's what we give around here.
You only play it for yourself, so I'm glad you're spreading the love.
They've got this is some dinning. title here for us today. All right. Well, guys, listen, thanks so much for coming in here again today. Fiona and Gwilym from ChinesePod, you guys do great work. I've been listening to ChinesePod for forever, at least, 10 years, as I mentioned. I know you do a lot for all of us Chinese learners and whatnot. So thanks for coming in. Tell us once again about the new series you guys got coming out, as well, something exclusive for our listeners here.
Yes, well, thank you very much, Terry and Keith, for having us. So we have a special discount code for ICRT listeners. It's ICRT Pod, P-O-D, ICRT Pod, and you get $50 off an annual premium subscription.
Oh, wow. Okay, good. Excellent. Well done. And you guys can be found where? Give me all your sort of social media contacts. Where can we get a hold of all you guys?
You can find us on ChinesePod.com. You can find us on YouTube. There's loads of exclusive content on YouTube, Facebook, all the major social media platforms you'll find us on. But go check out YouTube. I think there's a lot of cool content there.
All right. Excellent. It's just ChinesePod.com. Excellent. All right, guys. Thanks so much. When we get back towards the top of the hour, we'll have news. But before we do that, we'll check in with a little bit of music that should take us up towards the top of the hour here. This is going to be, what are we going to do here? This is going to be Winger for now. We'll be back in just a few moments. I'll give you the theme for your requests today coming up in just a moment. It's the Morning Show with Terry on ICRT.
That promotion code, once again, if you missed it and, don't want to rewind, it's ICRT Pod or ICRT POD. So you enter those letters, and that'll get you 50 USDs off your annual premium subscription plan to ChinesePod. And just as a quick little aside, I am a happy customer of ChinesePod. Use it, enjoy it, learned a lot from it. And, they're not even paying me to say that, so take that as you will. But that is it for the show today. You can hear more of these extended interviews every Wednesday at 10 a.m. live on The Morning Show with Terry Engel. That broadcasts ICRT FM 100 here in Taiwan. You can also find them online. Just look for the Taiwan Talk podcast stream. That's on the ICRT website and on iTunes or, wherever you're listening to this podcast. Also on that stream are the normal Taiwan Talk interviews, which are just conversations from and about Taiwan. We've made dozens and dozens of those over the past couple of years, so a lot of good information about Taiwan to be found right there, if I do say so myself. Please do leave a comment if you are listening through iTunes, and a rating if you could while you're there. It really does help other people discover the program, and we thank you for that. Well, we also thank you for listening to the show today. That is it for ICRT and The Morning Show. I am Keith Menconi. See you next time.